Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Hi, I'm Tracy Butler. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
For the identity of the real Marty Levinson, please stay tuned to the Northtown News Magazine.
Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Back to that lemon light.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine show with the greatest cameraman around, Sonny Hirsch, and your host, Avi Myers.
Thank you, Marty. Avi Myers, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine. Presentation of Sonny Hirsch and myself. Check us out on YouTube. We're real big on community policing. You know, it's funny. Thanksgiving morning, I was entertained, and I had finished doing everything but the turkey, which is basically what I wanted to do. And it was like about 4:30 in the morning, and I was just, like really hyped up, and how am I going to get to sleep? And then I got to make the turkey later, and I got all this company coming. So what I usually do to relax at that time is I flip over to Channel 7. Okay, and my favorite Chicagoland personality is over there, and somehow there's this nice, calm, relaxing feeling I get, and I also learn what's going on. So, I always like doing that. So being a journalist, I don't like writing fan letters at all. I had written one in my life, my earlier years. It was to the woman who played Bobby Jo Bradley in Petticoat Junction. But somehow, in the Thanksgiving spirit, I don't know, I just for 15 years, even though it's been longer, but since I started watching a really enjoyable viewing, I just thought I'd pen a note on Facebook and say thank you. And 14 minutes later, I got this great response. And we started corresponding back and forth. And now I am pleased to present the finest meteorologist in all the land, Tracy Butler. How are you?
I am so good, and I am so honored that finally through social media, we were able to connect. And I do remember that morning, and I do remember hearing from you, and I was just so touched by, what you said, and it just meant so much to me. So it was really important for me to come and meet you in person.
Well, I appreciate that, and it's a real thrill for me too. I want you to know that.
Well, thank you.
So it's funny because I don't mean to say anything bad about Channel 7 or whatever else. But people, as a general rule, I don't watch television news. But I always tell, because, reading newspapers, I want to get the journalistic, longer version.
Understandable.
But I tell people the one exception is you.
Well, I'm glad. I hope more people make that exception if they need to. But no, I'm so humbled by your saying that. I really am, because I know people have so many choices in where they can get their news, where they can get their weather. And I just really hope that I'm able to give people whatever it is they need, because I do know that weather is truly the one thing of every single news broadcast that affects every single person, no matter how tall, how short, how old you are, how young you are. It affects everybody. So I take that with great importance.
When were you first interested in getting involved in the weather and being a meteorologist?
Interestingly enough, I grew up in Pittsburgh, and I want to talk more about a fan letter too, because that's kind of how I got interested in broadcasting overall. I used to listen to a man named Jack Bogut on KDKA radio back in Pittsburgh. And many people who are in broadcasting know that KDKA radio was the world's first commercial radio station.
Right.
Very first, Harding Cox Elections. And so I had always had this dream ever since I had started listening to this man on this morning talk show, Jack Bogut. I wanted to work at KDKA so badly. And I wrote him a fan letter, and he answered me.
Wow.
And that's why it was so important for me. I try to answer everybody I possibly can, but that's why when you said you were so touched by the fact that I got back to you.
And in 14 minutes.
It's not always that quick, as you know, too.
Yeah.
But the fact that Mr. Bogut had his secretary call me at school,
wow.
And I remember being summoned to the principal's office in 8th grade, and I never got called to the principal's office, and I thought, oh no, what have I done wrong? It was his secretary, and he wanted to know through her when he could speak to me, maybe after school, and to talk to my parents and let them know he received my fan letter. And
Wow.
that from that moment on, I knew I wanted to be in broadcasting. Fast forward, I did an internship at KDK Radio.
Great.
Subsequently, I ended up working in advertising and public relations for KDK TV. One of my jobs was to go out with the meteorologists to schools and presentations, and I caught the weather bug, if you will, then. And I started kind of hanging out with the meteorologists, and one in particular, a guy named Brian Sussman, who worked at KDK TV in Pittsburgh. And I would go in, and he taught me so much. And we happened to be reading the Pittsburgh Press one weekend, and there was an advertisement for a weekend weathercaster in Wheeling, West Virginia. He said, "Tracy, you got to try for this." And I said, "Well, Brian, but I'm just kind of tagging along with you." He says, "What are you doing? You're sitting here, you're looking at charts, you're looking at all this stuff, you're helping me, you're into the forecasting, you have this passion. Go for it." And I went for it, and I got the job. And I went back to meteorology school since then, and got my certification and everything. And the rest is kind of history. My first weather job was in Wheeling, West Virginia.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, so I worked there for about 4 months, and then ended up working in Youngstown, Ohio, Richmond, Virginia. And while I was in Richmond, Virginia, I was, I guess you would say, maybe discovered by a man named Spencer Christian, who used to be on Good Morning America, did the weather. And he had me fill in for him when he went on vacation. And
I actually caught that.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, well, the very first day that I filled in for Spencer, apparently a guy named Jerry Taft went to management here and said, "Hey, we have this weather opening, and I just saw this gal on Good Morning America filling in." And it was shortly thereafter I got a call from Channel 7 to come to Chicago.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm really blessed.
Wow, that sounds great.
Yes.
And this is a very special month for you.
It's hard to believe. Yeah, 20 years. January 3rd, 1994, I started at Channel 7. It was recently brought up to me that I'm probably the longest tenured female meteorologist in Chicago, and that's quite an honor and something that I don't take lightly. But I am so lucky. I am so very blessed, and I hope that I do a service to everyone who is out there who relies on weather to plan their day.
Well, I'll tell you, you are, and your popularity, I don't know when you started your Facebook page, but I put the like thing there for you like a little less than a month ago. Mm-hmm. You've picked up about 850 people in less than a month. It's like I became aware of the numbers when you said you hit 10,000. Not that long ago, but now it's like 10,700. It's climbing. I mean, you can sneeze on Facebook, get 300 likes, and 3 dozen comments.
I don't know about that, but it's interesting. How you and I were talking kind of on Facebook about recipes and cooking, and people kind of respond to those sorts of things. And I'm so curious about other people's expertise in things that I have no expertise on. So I get ideas from people who post things on my Facebook page, and it's such a wonderful connection. At first I was really shy about the social media thing. It was something new. Yeah. But now I feel like I've really tried to embrace it, and I've gotten to know people just like yourself, and I've been so fortunate with that, and it has just opened up a new outlet, and especially an outlet where when we have severe weather, when we have the cold, when we have the snowstorms, when we had the tornado outbreak back in November, between Facebook and Twitter, it was such a wonderful outlet to be able to let people know like that what is going on. And so from a weather standpoint, it is extremely valuable.
No, it's terrific. I mean, it really is. And I'm looking at it. Yeah, if you're up later in the evening, and of course your hours are a little bit unusual.
Very.
But you're busy talking about the weather. It would be late night for you.
Yes, like 6 o'clock, late night for me. My hours are very different. Typically, I get up at about 1:30 in the morning. Wow. Get to work anywhere between about 2:30 and 3. And start doing my homework. And so that, I always say people say, "Oh, don't you have a team of people back there, putting it all together for you?" It's always best if you do your own homework, right? And you do your own research. and that way you get to know your subject better. So no, it's just me and the weather office figuring all the stats, the facts, and all of the maps and the graphics that you see, we draw ourselves between me and Mike and Jerry
Really?
and Phil. And here's a little interesting tidbit too. The four of us have been together as a team since 1995.
Wow.
And I don't know this for a fact, but I'd be willing to bet that we might be one of the longest running weather teams around the country. That's a long time for a core group of meteorologists to be together like that. And I always say they're always like my older brothers.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely older brothers. But it's a fun group to work with, and I've just
Actually, I
really
enjoy all of them. But you know what? It's like, I still prefer to see you, to be
Well,
honest
thank you.
about it.
And I'll rub that into them. I'll make sure they watch this part.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I noticed that at 11 o'clock now, they instead of having news, it's more like a talk show and then you come in there.
Right.
And frankly, my biggest complaint to them is they show you in the beginning sitting behind the desk. You're not in front of the weather map. And more Tracy, please. That's very important.
Wow, okay. I'm going to have you sign something and address it to my... No. Yeah, Windy City Live moved in to that 11 o'clock time slot when Michael and Kelly had moved into the 9 a.m. time slot. That's when Windy City Live used to be on, so that they moved that. And so now we're really, like when we had the bitter cold last week, I mean, if there is a major news event, you will hear about it. And just like major weather events, you will hear about it. We're going to make sure everybody is covered. And, you know, we had to preempt Windy City that day. But it's such a fun show, and it's such a fun outlet, too. And it's a live audience, which is a wonderful thing and a wonderful opportunity for people in Chicago to come and see local production. You know, what a concept anymore. I mean, there used to be so many local productions all around the country, and they've really waned.
Yeah, when I
over
was
the
a kid,
years.
my mom used to take me to like live TV shows.
Right.
It was fun.
How fun that is.
Yeah.
And now we're hoping to bring back some of that fun back into Chicago too. So it's a wonderful opportunity, and you know, for people to come and see a live television production too. So
No.
and I'm happy to be a part of it.
No, well, listen, I'm glad you're a part of it. That's for sure. You know, this has been a very unusual. Oh, so I want to ask you about your hours. You know, your family too. You've got a couple of daughters.
I do. I have an 11-year-old and I have an 8-year-old. And just what joy, you know, it's such joy. They are just so, it's amazing. They're so different.
Yeah.
And, you know, they love sports and they are very competitive. And one is just a pistol and the other one is just so sweet and angelic. Not that the other one isn't, but I don't want to say which one's which. I think they know who they are, but they have absolutely wonderful personalities that just really light up the room. And we have a lot of fun together. And you know, it's such an honor for me to be a woman in this business, to have been able to stick it out so long. And I think it's really important for young girls to be able to see that in their moms, in their aunts, no matter what it is that they're doing, whether they're working out of their home. And stay-at-home moms have some of the toughest jobs
Oh, yeah.
going. I have a number of friends, and that is their job. They are stay-at-home moms, and I work outside the home. But boy, to be a stay-at-home mom, you know, I really salute those women in a huge, huge way.
It's a highly underrated, to put it mildly.
And it is so underpaid. So underpaid, stay-at-home moms. But no, my hours are, you know, they're tough. And especially as my children get older,
Yeah.
it makes it more difficult, and they get more involved in activities outside the home. You know, they want to stay up late, and they want to stay up late and do other things, you know, that are outside of school activities too, whether it's reading or just playing games or whatever that may be. And especially in the summer, it's really hard. That's why I like when it gets dark at 4:30, because I used to be in bed like at 6 o'clock, but now it's more like, you know, 7:30. But I get up at about 1:30 in the morning.
Wow. We're really running out of time.
Oh, no!
Remember, this is like 13:20 here.
We have more to say.
I know. So let me just ask you real quick.
Yes.
In terms of weather, and it's got to be a quick answer here, is how, compared to other winters, how cold
You know what? We'll just use 1979 as a benchmark because that was a brutally cold winter. And honestly, this one pales in comparison. I mean, really
Wow.
recently, when you look at it, you know, we've had some days that have been below zero. We've had one day where the high temperature didn't get above zero back on January 6th.
I remember.
Yes, we all remember. But back in January in 1979, we had a streak of days that were all below zero. So many, many hours. So I still think it pales in comparison to that.
And also quickly, and I knew this was going to happen. You're definitely invited back, by the way.
Oh, good! Yay!
So in terms of long-term weather trends, I mean, are we seeing? Is it getting colder? Is it getting warmer? Does things stay steady? Is there any real trend or?
I don't see any extremes at this point. That's not to say we couldn't see some bitter cold. In fact, in the next few days, we're probably going to ride this wave of a temperature roller coaster. But right now, I don't see the polar vortex coming back for a lengthy visit anytime soon.
Well, I want to thank you very much, Tracy Butler.
Thank you so much.
You can tune in to her at 4:30 in the morning till 7 on ABC7. Although I warn you, if you start watching, it can be addictive. And then again, I also have to add as part of my warning that the lack of being able to view her, like when she goes on an extended vacation, could definitely cause severe depression.
You are too kind.
So anyway, I want to thank you very much. This has been a real thrill for me, Tracy,
you.
and thank you so much for coming.
The thrill is mine. Thank you so much.
Thank you.